When you're ready, press my nipples to activate the mechanism.
I always look forward to Next Fest. For me, it's become kind of a ritual of discovery, a way to further bloat my already overflowing wish list with the most glorious and creative upcoming games by scrolling through this impenetrable mess of a storefront. Literally thousands of games try to push their way to the surface 3 times a year, but I have no life and terrible sleep habits, so my loss is your game. As always, touching the buttons down there helps us a ton. We also have a glorious Patreon where you can join the brave heroes that donate to our cause, like the ones on screen right here. We'll tell you more about that later, but for now, here's the best and the weirdest demos that I found over Steam Next Fest. My name is Boss Sauce.
And I'm Roland Cruz. And together,
we are the two-headed hero. Cargo Hunters from Order of Meta is a third-person shooter where the clankers from the Star Wars prequels get into gunfights with each other in abandoned warehouses and cannibalize each other for parts in order to escape with the best loot. To get this all out of the way, yes, this is an extraction shooter, and no, it's not multiplayer at all. Stepping into the frame of a skinny little robot, you'll be packing your own weapons and gear before stepping into whatever danger lurks within these forlorn freight yards. This is more than just playing dress up. You're going to need to choose your loadout with care, making sure to balance weight, utility, and ammo reserves, especially since anything you bring along here gets dropped when you die. Gunfights feel tense and lethal, and it's possible to get wrecked in just a couple of hits if you're not careful. This goes doubly so if you aren't wearing any armor. A lot of enemy bots do be making that mistake here, as my shotgun will attest. Your own limbs can also be broken, requiring field repairs that leave you vulnerable and use up your valuable resources. Like any sensible scavenger, you carry an angle grinder around. This isn't for breaking the U-locks off of bikes. This is for breaking into safes and harvesting your dead rivals for parts. You can finally live the dream of juicing up your body with a bunch of questionable aftermarket mods. Dreams do come true. These all have an effect on how your bot handles in the field, of course. How fast they are, how accurate, how durable, how much you can carry, you get the idea. Field stripping your fallen foes is a great idea, because if you get scrapped, you'll be relying on whatever's in your cargo stash. Lugging a big haul back to extraction gets pretty tense, especially once you hear that telltale stomp of a metal footstep around the corner as you're struggling to pull your heavy pack to safety. Since you're a robot, you'll also have sensors rattling around inside your metal skull. Visual indicators pop up for sound sources and incoming fire that help you lock down where your enemies are hiding. Objective markers and a handy little map make it easier to get around, which you'll desperately need to get back safely to your cargo container. Turns out that even robots are subject to the tight time frames and intricate multi-part quests common to the genre. So yeah, I had a really good time here hunting down those pesky security cards and breaking into restricted areas throughout the demo. This little taste of a single level really had me craving more. I gotta find out what kind of treasures were left behind in the locked up armory, or what murderous monstrosity is lurking behind this massive steel door. And I'm hoping that the game eventually uncovers the mystery of what happened to all the people that once lived here. As a big fan of ImSim adjacent games like this, and as somebody with an embarrassing amount of time logged into my Tarkov account, I'm actually loving this trend of Stalker derivatives and Tarkov-likes that are either PvE co-op or straight up just single-player experiences. If you're into that kind of thing, Project Silverfish and Zero Sievert are a couple standouts that I'd highly recommend, and both of these are already out in early access. You know what, I think I'm just gonna buy this when it comes out. Let me know if you want to see a follow-up video on Cargo Hunters. Replaced is what happens when a couple of AI bros drink their own Kool-Aid and accidentally host their homebrew version of ChatGPT inside their brains. Seems like a pretty logical endpoint. You play as a rogue AI named Reach that's apparently responsible for the genocide of untold numbers of people under circumstances that are never entirely made clear. At least, not in this 30-minute demo. Somehow, your computer brain has been swapped into the body of your creator, thus, the title splash. You'll be taking control of Reach and its unwilling human host in an attempt to traverse the neglected Phoenix City suburbs, find a way back inside the walls, and evade the squads of relentless, heavily armed cybergoons that want nothing more than to see you laid out on a lab table. This cinematic side-scrolling 2.5D pixel art thing from Sad Cat Studios is filled with gorgeous artwork, fluid animations, some simple platforming puzzles, and brutal death sequences. It's a bit reminiscent of something like Inside, or Out of This World if you're a relic like me. Anyone remember that one? Puzzles don't seem to be more than the occasional move a crate or place a battery type of deal. Combat sequences are familiar enough, rolly, dodgy, punchy combo affairs, highlighted by the Huxley gun, a combination baton/laser pistol that lets you send enemies off to a brave new world every time it reaches a full charge. So since Replaced doesn't seem to be doing that much out of the ordinary, why am I mentioning it here? One word: presentation. The retro-futuristic alternate 1980s themes and corroded country buildings look absolutely amazing, and I could find no flaw with any of the killer animations as Reach ducked and rolled its way through the demo. The weather effects, the reflections, this awesome sequence where a train car gets demolished before your very eyes, even the cool little Game Boy PDA thing. Man, this is good set dressing, and Sad Cat did an awesome job baking modern effects into its 2.5D art style here. Plus, killer tunes. If I was going to recommend checking out a game on vibes alone, it would be this one. Dungeon crawlers are my cozy place, and it's been this way almost as long as I can remember. Over this round of Next Fest, I've found not one, not two, but three. And this is a best and weirdest video, remember, so I'm gonna lay them out here in progressive order of weirdness. So first we have Underkeep, from indie developer Rakin' Grass. This is pure delicious sword and sorcery pixel art nostalgia bait, and I'm jumping on the hook. To be honest, I've been following Underkeep on Twitter for quite a while here, and it's been great to get my hands on a quality demo. The gameplay is extra smooth, with the expected buttery grid-based movement flying across my keyboard hand with ease, while my other hand stays busy with the mouse, you perverts. What starts out as a simple walk through the woods to gather 5 mushrooms for dinner turns into a full-blown crawl through a dangerous abandoned mine. Along the way, of course, you'll have the prerequisite kill a pack of rats encounter that every RPG has. It serves here mostly as a combat tutorial, but even this is highlighted by some beautiful renderings of the giant horse-sized rats chomping down on an unlucky merchant. And if your characters have the right skills, it's possible to gain an advantage and take down 1 or 2 of the pack more easily before the fight begins. Inside the deep, dark depths of the mine, encounters turn into desperate fights for your lives against purple tremors and undead miners. You'll need to scour every corner to turn up 5 freaking mushrooms for dinner, and doing so lands you face to face with Big Daddy Mushroom right here. And he's looking for his 5 kids, the same ones that are resting in the bottom of your cute little adventure backpack. Turning these over to the golden guy seems like the right thing to do. He really plays on your emotions here. But when you do this, he rewards you by transforming your entire party into mushroom men. I sure didn't expect that game over so early on in the demo. Underkeep is filled with charming moments just like these, even in the little tiny taste we get in the demo. The writing is on point, the systems and skills are simple enough to pick up with a glance, while still retaining the stat-heavy approach that crunchy RPG fans will love, and there's nice little details everywhere, down to the blinking character portraits. This bird guy even has sunglasses that blink. Huh. If Rakin' Grass puts this level of care and quality into the final game, I'll be there on day 1. It's a shooter. It's a dungeon crawler. It's a dungeon crawler and a shooter. If you don't know about Dusk, perhaps the most prominent indie game that caught the wave of the boomer shooter revival back in 2018, well, go play it now. Right now. I'll wait. Actually, no. Keep watching the video. Please. Okay, now that you've finished one of the best boomshoots to come out in a decade, it seems that New Blood and company have decided to make Dusk into an extended universe franchise, taking it to different heights and formats in a similar way that Doom Mania struck back in the mid-90s. We've already seen Dusk 82, an Atari dungeon crawler kind of thing, and now we've got Dungeons of Dusk on the horizon, an early 90s style grid-based dungeon crawler RPG. Something about Dusk and dungeon crawlers, they just seem to go together, I guess. Apparently the nameless cigar-chomping protagonist from the first game didn't get quite enough notches on his cultist-killing shotgun the first time around. Gazing up at the impenetrable walls of the accursed city of Dusk, he decides to head back inside once more to find some answers and stop the cult once and for all. Dungeons of Dusk is a throwback through and through. Each step on the grid or swing of the scythe counts as an action, and the world doesn't move unless you do. Rather than wielding mighty swords or chasing vicious trolls through the hallways, all the old Dusk enemies have made a comeback. So you'll be slaying the chainsaw-wielding leathernecks, floating fireball wizards, and big poisonous rats, all gloriously recreated as low-fidelity 2D stand-ups. And instead of enchanted helmets or magic potions, you're going to be scooping up treasure chests filled with Molotov cocktails, expired medication, and warm beer. Well, I guess the beer could count as a magic potion. As ordained in the Dungeoneer's Bible, you shall be traversing ever lower through square-tiled sewers, leveling up your hero with a vast skill tree, puzzling out secret treasures, and trading with unscrupulous merchants.
Hey there, how you doing? Alive? That's good. You won't stay that way. Well, you're in luck.
Deadly monsters guard the color-coded doors that block your path, but with the careful use of your equipment, special abilities, dynamic cigar mechanics, and the akimbo weapons that gloriously return in this game, you shall prevail. Oh, and don't forget the awesome power of red barrels. This demo proves to be a simple yet effective take on the dungeon crawler that has a lot of fun with the source material. I'm a massive fan of blobbers and mystery dungeons just like this, always have been, so it's nice to see that this style of RPG still stands, even decades after the golden era has long since passed. I don't think anyone's ever tried to make an adventure game about solving problems with the power of poetry, but that's what you're going to be doing in 3 verses cubed? I guess that's how you say it, and its counterpart demo, Kieran Loves You. On the surface, Kieran Loves You is another grid-based crawler, grainy enough to rival the earliest efforts of the PlayStation 1. But you can't deny that it has a certain surreal charm to its blank-faced characters and bizarre animations. This brief demo has just a few simple puzzles, and most of it revolves around harvesting lines of dialogue, making notes on your weird little retro pocket secretary, and regurgitating the lines at just the right moment to solve a puzzle. Sometimes it'll be as simple as a glorified password that unlocks a door. Sometimes it'll be relaying info between 2 people that are in an argument until they finally work together to solve their problems. Or in this case, to spear a fish that swallowed a sewer key. I don't really know what else to say here other than the demo comes with the full jam version of the game, which apparently was remastered to work in Godot engine. 3 Verses is a short, surrealist jam-feeling game about delivering lines of poetry to poets that are stuck with writer's block, and it contains a bit more standard dungeon crawly gameplay alongside its dreamlike themes. Nothing too out of the ordinary in its grid exploration or JRPG combat other than having to type in what spell you want to cast out of the short list of ones you've discovered. There is a fishing minigame though, extra points for that, always. Put it all together and you get a real weird little package, well worth keeping an eye on if you like PS1 surrealism and typing things into a text box.
In the bleak valley, bound by the shadows of Birken Crypt, the 2-headed basilisk whispers of the end of all things.
Morkborg Heresy Supreme is not my 2 AM Taco Bell order. This is actually a killer roguelike action RPG by Morbidware based on the popular Morkborg tabletop universe. Now, the world of Morkborg has a lot less to do with dragon slaying and princess rescuing than your average D&D campaign. Instead, this is a game where you're going to be playing as a scummy, weird little lowlife that bands together with other scummy, weird little lowlives out of necessity, taking on commissions that are far above your pay scale. Survival is unlikely, and brutality is certain. After this absolutely awesome cutscene, the very first thing you do is roll up a brand new degenerate. Look at some of these results. You collect teeth to make jewelry, Your first memory is nursing on a wolf in the forest. Okay. This approach to role-playing says so much while writing so very little, and it's a perfect reflection of the source material. Heresy Supreme also carries the unmistakable iconic visual style from the book illustrations, crisscrossing the uncomfortable lines between the realm of inky horror and dark comedy. Look at this priestess all dressed up for the death metal show while cuddling a lamb that has a dozen eyes. She gives you a mission to cut the finger off a troll and bring it back as a sacrifice to her dark god. Cool, sounds impossible. Let's go. Check out this town full of worn down peasants and tired merchants. Really good stuff. But once you step outside the gates, the game truly begins. I was expecting this to be some kind of deck builder, but the action RPG roguelite approach feels even more brutal and appropriate. The Outcast has a limited host of abilities, so you won't be doing any roll slop here. Each action you take costs a chunk of your stamina meter, this hard to read spiky chain link near the top. And yeah, you read it right, your hit points are single-digit numbers. Losing your last hit point puts you in a broken state where you'll either have to use a health item or kill the enemy that broke you in order to restore yourself. And items all have a dual use, too. Everything in the game can be consumed or tossed at an enemy, opening up a variety of effects and strategies depending on what you have in your pockets. True cult noise metal pervades every combat encounter, punctuating your character's inevitable beheading with crusty guitar chugs. But you're not alone out here. Your greasy outcast can lend a hand to other degens that had the unfortunate luck to read the same mission handbill as you, and form a rough crew of dirtbags that you can freely swap between at any time. There's also a host of random encounters that might hinder or help your outcast in untold ways, which can delay your demise for a little bit. Or accelerate it. But even if you choose not to give up some of your life force to a cemetery bench in exchange for a measly bag of silver, you can't stop this world's march towards doom. Heresy Supreme absolutely rules, and my only regret is putting off trying it until now. This one appeared in our inbox this week, and well, let's just say it looks cute on the surface, but firmly makes it into the category of real weird stuff from Steam Next Fest. Voidling Bound from Hatchery Games starts out innocently enough. Humans have explored the stars and encountered a world full of alien species that they can psychically bond with. But the adorable little creatures are under threat from some kind of invasive purple goo. What do game devs have against purple stuff anyways? I keep seeing this where purple's the bad guy color in games, especially ones targeted towards a younger audience. Purple's a cool color. Switch it up, guys. So anyways, the idea here is to wield the sum of human knowledge to collect these creatures like Pokemon in order to help them evolve the natural tools they'll need to take back control of their planet. Then you'll directly take control of these adorable little monsters via your psychic link to do action-packed shooting and platforming missions in order to beat back the purple tide and restore the world's gorgeous green jungle habitat. Now, I do like the idea of an environmental cleanup game, and the effect here is pretty damn cool on screen. But once I really started thinking about all this, I have so many questions. You mean to tell me that humans have not only colonized another planet, but we've basically started an insurgency within its own naturally occurring ecosystem in order to wipe out another native species? Does that seem right? Haven't people done enough damage to Earth? Now we gotta go to other galaxies and mess up their shit? And what's the end goal for humanity here? Are we basically tinkering with the genetics of an innocent species in order to study this psychic bond for further military-industrial applications or something? Or figuring out the market for space dino nuggets? Or what's going on here? Even if this wasn't already a bit suspect, it's pretty clear that the humans in charge don't trust the Voidlings to help themselves, even if we provide them with the tools for success. That psychic link doesn't just offer polite suggestions, it directly controls them, which feels like a form of coercion. And don't forget that the scientists on board the starship Mangala here are directly messing around with the genetics of the Voidlings to evolve and change their abilities. Putting aside the fact that they have no idea what the long-term effects will be, I'm just thinking this is best summed up by a word that starts with U and ends with Genix. Anyway, the game's pretty fun. A bit simple at first, but the upgrade paths eventually open up enough new voidlings, creature parts, and passive bonuses to make it kind of feel like you're running a custom garage. But, you know, for boutique animals. Level designs are nicely varied with a few different light mission objective changes here and there to keep things interesting, and I like the general game feel of both the shooting and the platforming. And I'm half joking about all this stuff, but to be real, I kinda just wish there were no humans in the game. At all. Keep it like Spore or something, where everybody's a weird evolving alien. So, I guess if you can look past all that other stuff I said before, because hey, adorable, cute little bug-eyed animals, and you get to pet them! Check out Voidling Bound. Even crabs can dream. And at long last, you can be a part of one crab's dream of financial freedom.
You have to work a 9 to 5, like the rest of us, and kill your entrepreneurial spirit.
It draws its bow and shoots the king. A direct hit.
From Jacob Janerka, Simon Boxer, and Bone Assembly takes you to a whimsical amusement park run by a single ambitious crab in this walking sim puzzler comedy thing. Yep, this is a weird enough game to be published by Devolver, and yes, that is a good thing. Pushing on some uncomfortably stiff barbarian nipples drops you through the trapdoors and into this ramshackle cave where your adventure begins. There's tons of great little touches here, like the legs that you see whenever you look down, or the side quests like feeding the table man or burying the body of the previous dungeoneer in random trash to prevent any health inspectors from finding it.
Is that cotton? If it is, I'm quite allergic. Apologies if I stop being as talkative.
Or this terrifying battle with deadly goblins. But the real meat of the game lies within all the wonderfully written exchanges you'll have with the dungeon's denizens, most of which are played by the same crab.
Tableman is one of the cursed races of the dungeon experience realm. He stoically maintains the weight on his back, not just from the various mundane objects, but the weight of his sins.
I'm a sinful boy.
This little 30-minute taste of the game is a walking fourth wall break with a bunch of thinly veiled satire on the grind mentality, but it's all cleverly delivered in a way that's overflowing with charm, and I'm absolutely here for it.
We live in a tiered royal hierarchy. I have 2 subjects, and those subjects are kings and queens to their own subjects. A downline of royalty, a truly fair system.
I'm really looking forward to uncovering the secrets of financial freedom for myself, meeting the CEO of the dungeon experience, and stepping through the fabled mind hole once I can finally dive deeper into the depths of this dungeon.
My legs are sturdy, they're just fine. Look.
I can think of no other demo that lets you play yourself out the door with a ripping saxophone solo.
Now, let's hear your sax magic. Yeah, wail on that thing. Yeah.
Ever had one of those days where you wake up in a basement with a bag over your head? This is Meathook, a game by Alex Rostov. On the surface, this demo looks like your average on-rails shooting gallery. Well, maybe not average, since it frequently fills the screen with geysers of pixelated blood. But Meathook actually has more in common with a Myst-style point-and-clicker than, say, House of the Dead. As a prisoner that's been strapped to a conveyor belt, you navigate on literal rails from one point to another, blasting cultists, opening up doors, and puzzling out the way into secret rooms that contain Lovecraftian breakfast foods.
Can I offer you a nice egg in this trying time?
Survival horror influence seeps into the concrete of Meathook's corridors, as you'll often have to manage your inventory, ammunition, and reloads on the fly. And the game's not shy about including puzzle elements within its stages that require you to carefully consider when and where to use all your resources. For example, the chess stage is all about engaging enemies in the right order so that you don't get overwhelmed or run out of ammunition. The later addition of a shield and a time slow power-up complicate things even further, making this more of a thinking man's arcade game, if that even makes any sense. And topping off the demo with a sky full of cosmic horrors is a great hook that makes me definitely want to see more of Meathook. As a bonus, Raw Stuff also recently released an entirely different game for free. It's a first-person shooter that blends survival horror and immersive elements called Aftershock Shoreline. The atmosphere, puzzles, and level design here all remind me of Amnesia the Bunker if it was fueled by space madness. It absolutely rules. I'll be covering it fully in the next Immersive Sim Roundup. But like I said, this game's 100% free, so if you can't wait for me to flap my mouth hole about it, well, take a look at Aftershock Shoreline for yourself. So that's it. Another 10 steamy demos for your perusal. Get ready to bloat that wish list. And if there's anything that I should have checked out, let me know down in the comments below. If you want to help keep the fires burning in our humble little tavern, pull up a stool over on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. This gets you early video access, bonus materials, and special Discord roles. Right now we're doing an orc board campaign a couple times a month with some of the patrons, and it's been a blast getting to do some virtual tabletop and talking with everybody. Plus, by donating you'll get your name shouted in the credits like the brave champions here.
Wolfgang Bristol,
Kalagufsel,
Adam Uselman,
Amelie McNamara,
James Blake,
Yaroslav Rybaki,
Jim DiFrancesco,
Vulpes,
Cameron Frement,
Dominic Nguyen,
John Williams,
Mahogany God King,
Mirek Hotovi,
San Lunette,
Thorben Pelzer.
and all the rest.
If I've mispronounced your name, please let me know.
Thank you all so much for your Patreon support, your Ko-Fi donations, YouTube memberships, and super thanks. It all helps us out more than you know, but what helps us out even more is slapping all those buttons down there and dropping a comment. Anything that helps the algorithm really does a lot to move our channel forward. If you want to see some more videos just like this one, they should be popping on screen right about now. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you on the next Two-Headed Hero.